Absolutely ridiculous. Let's talk to Neil O'Brien MP. He's down on College Green for us. He's the Shadow Policy Renewal Minister. Neil, very good morning to you.
Morning.
Good to speak to you. It's a sort of cataclysmic morning in terms of headlines for the Labour government this morning. Let's kick off with the economy first of all. She's off to see the IMF, Ms Reeves is, but she's not going to get much joy out of that trip, is she?
No, she's not. I mean, the IMF have just said that we are going to have the highest inflation in the G7. We can see that unemployment is going up. And none of this stuff is an accident, right? Ms Reeves said she spends $9.5 billion before the election. She ended up spending 10 times that after the election. So she's spent 10 times more than she said she would. As a result, she's raised taxes and she's increased borrowing. And the combination of higher spending, higher taxes and higher borrowing is causing the economy to stagnate. And that in turn leads to higher borrowing. So we end up in a vicious circle where borrowing goes up, she taxes even more, that makes borrowing go up, she taxes even more. And remember, after her last massive tax increasing budget, she said, I'm not coming back with any more tax rises. And here she is, coming back with even more tax rises. And I just think until we do what the Conservatives say and actually start to control public spending and let people keep more of their own money, the economy will stagnate and we'll just go round and round in this vicious circle.
And it does seem as though she's not really listening. I mean, have a look at what she said earlier this morning. She sort of more or less admitted that they're in a kind of a doom loop.
Our tax rises coming down the track.
Yeah, but I think that this government are making, in terms of the ambition of this government, it is big.
But you agreed, yes, there are tax rises coming down the track.
Well, I was really clear during the general election campaign, and we discussed this many times, that I would always make sure that the numbers add up.
Can you promise the British people you're not going to get stuck in a doom loop of having to go through this cycle every year of having to find more tax to fill the black hole?
Nobody wants that cycle to end more than I do, Sam. That's why that is why we're putting all the effort into growing our economy, because that in the end is what brings in the tax revenues to be able to afford to keep taxes low.
Yeah, I mean, so she's more or less admitted that they are in this cycle of doom and she can't really figure out how to get out of it.
Yeah, no, she admitted that there is this vicious cycle. But let's be clear about how it started. It started with her breaking her promises. She said she wouldn't increase taxes on working people. Then she did a massive tax increase that was specifically focused on low-income working people. She said she wouldn't then come back for more. Now here she is coming back for more. I mean, you just can't believe a single thing she is saying. I mean, she admits there is a problem, but as usual, I suspect they'll just try and blame everyone else. Well, and they won't accept responsibility for the things that they have done.
Well, it's worse than that. They're now starting to blame Brexit, apparently, for this happening. They say that it's because of Brexit that we're in such a bad economic place, which can't be right because, of course, all of the indicators from Europe would suggest that their growth factors, their growth figures are even worse than ours.
No, that's right. And also, this is a forecast. The problem she's got is that the OBR are downgrading the forecast for what's going to happen in the future. It's not about things that happened 10 years ago. It's about the consequences of her own actions over the next 10 years. And so, look, I think they always just try and blame somewhere else. But it's clear to everybody they broke their promises and the consequences have been bad for the economy. And they know that they're in a bad cycle, but they don't know how to get out of it. We have a clear alternative, which is we cut spending by $47 billion. We let people keep more of their own money. We get the economy moving by cutting things like business rates for the high street, by cutting stamp duty. We've set out a really clear plan. I have no idea what the government's plan is, apart from to go round and round in a vicious circle, going down and down and down, with more and more people unemployed.
Yeah, that is the problem. There's a tweet that Keir Starmer's just put out this morning. We like to keep an eye on his tweets. This will make you cheer you up, I think. He says, new roads, railways, airports and reservoirs are coming to Britain and they are coming soon. That's national renewal. It's news to me that we're getting new roads and railways and airports and reservoirs. Is it news to you?
It's news to me as well. I mean, the government said they were going to build all these houses, for example. They're obviously not going to hit their target. And in fact, house building in London has collapsed to unprecedented lows as the economy stagnates. I mean, I do think his tweets are increasingly just detached from reality. He just says these weird things that don't mean anything. I do feel like he does feel like a number 10 in a bit of a bunker, because every day someone leaves number 10, someone resigns or gets sacked, and the government is just, without any sense of direction, lurching from scandal to scandal. You had the corruption minister had to resign over links to corruption, the homelessness minister had to resign for making people homeless, the housing Minister had to resign because she didn't pay the tax on her houses. Our ambassador to Washington had to resign because he was in the middle of the biggest scandal in Washington. Now you have the National Security Advisor accused of undermining our national security. I mean, it's just a disaster zone, and they just lurch from one scandal to another with no plan for the economy, no plan for anything, to be honest with you. I mean, 1 year into a new government where they had this massive majority, and he's the most unpopular Prime Minister ever. I mean, it's incredible, really, what's happened.
It really is incredible how fast they have descended into such unpopular places. You know, they really are in a terrible place. But there's a new poll out today, published in the Daily Mail. I don't know if you've seen it, published by PLMR and Electoral Calculus. 7,449 British adults, taken from September the 10th to the 18th. Asking about how reform would do at the next election, and it says that reform would basically crush everybody. They've got a model that shows the Labour Party would only have 73 seats, but the Conservatives would end up with only 7.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously different polls say different things. So there's been some quite positive polls after our good conference last week. But let's be clear, I mean, we got rejected in the last general election, we got kicked out, but we are learning our lesson from that. And that's why, for example, in the last general election, loads of voters told me on the doorstep they were furious about the small boats and our failure to stop them. And they were right. In fact, I was more furious than them about our failure to stop them. And that's why we are now saying really clearly, firstly, we will leave the ECHR so we can end all these ridiculous court cases that stop dangerous people from being deported from this country. And we will start deporting 150,000 people a year and get all these dangerous people who should not be in our country out of our country. So we've now set out a clear plan for how things would be different in terms of stopping illegal immigration. Meanwhile, you've had the worst ever year for boat crossings so far. You've had the highest ever number of applications for asylum under Labour. And on the economy, again, people were not happy about the cost of living. They were not happy after our economy had been battered by the pandemic and by the war in Ukraine. People did feel bad. But we've learned our lesson from that. That's why we're saying this is how we'll cut wasteful spending, this is how we'll cut welfare spending, and this is how we'll give that money back to you. It's your money ultimately. We will let you keep more of your own money and to tackle the cost of living there. So yeah, we took a showing in the last election, quite rightly. The public were right, but we have listened to what they've said, and we are now really clear about how we do things differently. It's 4 years until the next election for us to set out our case and to make the arguments here. People are clearly angry with the government. It will take time for us to earn back the trust of the public by being clear about our plans and honest about the trade-offs. But that is what we're planning to do, and that you can't say fairer than that, really.
OK. Neil, thank you very much indeed. Neil O'Brien MP, Shadow Policy Renewal Minister.